did the right thing, even when doing the right thing cost you comfort, cost you clarity, and cost you the version of life you thought would already be in your hands by now. You obeyed when it would have been easier to explain away the warning, easier to compromise a little, easier to stay where your flesh felt safe even while your spirit felt troubled. That is why this moment matters so much. Heaven does not overlook quiet obedience. God does not miss the sacrifices you made when nobody clapped for you, when nobody understood you, and when the people around you mistook your restraint for weakness. What they called hesitation was actually discernment. What they called loss was actually protection. What they called foolishness was your refusal to step outside the will of God just to satisfy a temporary craving. You know what it feels like to stand at a crossroads where one road looks easier, faster, and more rewarding in the moment, while the other road feels lonely, costly, and painfully slow. Yet something deep inside you would not let you betray what God had already placed on your heart. You may have shaken while making that choice. You may have cried after making that choice. You may have wondered whether obedience was worth the ache that followed. But you still chose it. That matters more than you know. There are decisions that change your schedule, and then there are decisions that shape your spirit. This was one of those deeper decisions. This was the kind of choice that builds holy strength in you. This was the kind of obedience that closes one door not because God is punishing you, but because He is preserving your future from what would have wounded it. You are not weak because you felt the pain of letting go. You are not unstable because the decision stretched you. You are human, and yet right there in the middle of your humanity, your spirit rose up and agreed with God. That is beautiful in the sight of heaven. Too many people only call it obedience when it feels clean, easy, and immediately rewarding. But real obedience often happens with tears still in your eyes and questions still in your mind. Real obedience is when your heart is breaking and you still say yes to God. Real obedience is when you do not have all the answers, but you refuse to move against the conviction He placed in you. That is the path you chose. You chose the narrow road. You chose integrity in secret. You chose surrender over self-sabotage. You chose peace over pressure, even if the peace did not arrive all at once. And this is what you must understand now. Just because obedience looked like loss at first does not mean it was loss in the spirit. There are moments when God asks you to release what you wanted because He can see what it would eventually do to you. He sees beyond chemistry. He sees beyond money. He sees beyond timing. He sees beyond your emotional attachment. He sees the hidden fracture, the future sorrow, the door the enemy was hoping you would open with your own hands. So when you stepped back, when you said no, when you turned around, when you went silent instead of forcing something forward, you were not ruining your life. You were aligning your life. You were not burying your future. You were protecting your calling. That is why this message is reaching you with such force. You need to stop measuring your obedience by what disappeared right after you obeyed. Measure it by what God spared you from. Measure it by the confusion that did not consume you. Measure it by the shame that did not get to write your story. Measure it by the warfare that broke when you refused to cooperate with what was not meant for you. Not every blessing arrives with immediate applause. Some blessings arrive disguised as interruption. Some blessings arrive disguised as a closed door. Some blessings arrive as the strength to walk away when your emotions beg you to stay. You have been looking at one side of the story, but heaven has been watching the whole thing unfold. Beloved chosen one, your obedience has a sound in the spirit. It speaks. It testifies. It rises before God as proof that you trust Him more than your impulses, more than your fear, and more than the false urgency that tried to rush you into a decision outside His peace. That is no small thing. There are rewards attached to that kind of trust, not shallow rewards, not merely temporary replacements. I am speaking about the kind of reward that reaches into your inner life and establishes you with greater clarity, greater authority, and deeper peace. The reward begins in who you are becoming. Before it ever appears around you, it is formed within you. You are stronger now. You are harder to manipulate now. You are more discerning now. You are less impressed by appearances now. That alone is already part of the reward. And while you are receiving this, let this be your act of agreement. Type 999 in the comments as a sign that your obedience was not wasted and your yes to God will bear fruit in its season. Do not despise the silence that followed your obedience. Silence is not always absence. Sometimes silence is the holy space where God rearranges outcomes you cannot yet see. Sometimes silence is where your roots go deeper. Sometimes silence is where your motives get purified so that when the reward comes, you can carry it without turning it into an idol. You are being matured, not ignored. You are being strengthened, not forgotten. You are being prepared to handle what your earlier self would have mishandled. This is why you cannot judge the value of your obedience by the speed of visible results. The seed underground is not dead because it is hidden, it is becoming. So hold your ground. Do not replay the old decision with regret. Do not romanticize what God told you to release. Do not call back what heaven told you to leave behind. The right thing was still the right thing, even when it hurt. The holy choice was still the holy choice, even when it left an empty space for a while. God knows how to fill that space. God knows how to honor what you surrendered. God knows how to send reward that does not wound you, peace that does not deceive you, and blessing that does not ask you to betray your soul in order to keep it. You did the right thing, and that truth is about to become heavier than the pain you felt when you made the choice. What makes your obedience so sacred is not only that you made the right decision in a difficult moment. It is that you kept carrying that decision after the moment passed, even when the emotions did not settle quickly, even when the silence felt long, and even when the outcome did not immediately explain why God asked for your surrender in the first place. That is where obedience becomes mature. It moves beyond one brave choice and becomes a steady posture of trust. You are not only being measured by what you walked away from, you are being shaped by how you remain faithful after walking away. When nobody can see the private cost, when nobody can hear the prayers you whisper, and when your heart has to keep agreeing with God before your eyes can understand Him. That is why Abraham fits this message so deeply. His life carries the very pattern your soul needs to remember right now. Abraham knew what it was to receive a promise from God and then be led through seasons that tested whether he loved the promise more than the one who gave it. He was called to leave what was familiar before he knew where he was going. He had to obey without a complete map. He had to trust the voice of God more than the comfort of certainty. Even that alone is powerful because so much of true obedience begins when you release the need to control every detail. You take the next faithful step because God has spoken, not because the whole road has been explained. But the deeper part of Abraham's story speaks even more directly to what you are carrying. After waiting so long for the promised son, after enduring the ache of delay and the strain of hoping against visible reality, Abraham finally held in his arms the very thing heaven had said would come. Isaac was not only a son, he was evidence, he was fulfillment, he was the living sign that God keeps his word. Then came the unthinkable test. God asked Abraham to lay that promise down. Imagine the weight of that moment. Imagine the silence in his chest. Imagine how little sense it may have made to the natural mind. The very gift that seemed to confirm God's faithfulness became the thing Abraham was asked to place on the altar. This is why his story connects so perfectly with yours. Sometimes obedience is not only about refusing what is clearly wrong. Sometimes it is about loosening your grip on something precious because God must remain first in your heart. Sometimes the test is not obvious sin. Sometimes the test is whether you will trust God with what you treasure most. Abraham obeyed with a trembling faith that still moved forward. He rose early. He took the journey. He carried the weight of a command he did not fully explain. He kept walking in obedience before there was visible relief. That is the kind of faith heaven remembers. That is the kind of obedience that leaves a mark in the spirit. And notice this carefully. The reward did not appear at the beginning of the test. The reward appeared at the place of surrender. It was on the mountain, at the edge of costly obedience, that God revealed himself as provider. Not before the journey, not before the altar, not before the painful willingness to let God be God. That means your current ache is not proof that reward is absent. It may simply mean you are still walking up the mountain. It may mean heaven is waiting to reveal provision at the exact point where your surrender becomes complete. Abraham did not lose by obeying. He was confirmed by obeying. He was strengthened by obeying. He came out of the test knowing God in a deeper way than before. This is what you must hold on to now. When you obey God, even at great cost, you do not move away from blessing. You move toward a purer form of it. You move toward blessing that is not built on fear, not tied to manipulation, not poisoned by compromise. Abraham's obedience showed that he trusted God enough to release even what he loved, and because of that trust, reward was not withheld. It was multiplied through covenant, through legacy, through a promise that stretched beyond one single moment into generations. That is how God honors real obedience. He does not only look at what you gave up, he looks at the trust behind it. And he answers that trust in ways bigger than your first understanding. So when you feel the weight of your own surrender, remember Abraham on the mountain. Remember that obedience can feel lonely before it feels glorious. Remember that the road can be quiet before heaven speaks clearly again. But also remember that God does not bring his children into surrender in order to shame them. He brings them there to reveal what only surrender can uncover. He reveals provision. He reveals deeper identity. He reveals that your future is safest in his hands. And as this message settles into your spirit, let it travel farther. Like this message if it speaks to you. Share it with someone who is struggling to trust God through a costly decision. Subscribe if these words help keep your heart steady in seasons of testing. And if you want to support this work in a deeper way, there is a place to donate in the description so messages like this can continue reaching those who need strength in their hour of obedience. You are not being emptied for nothing. You are being led into a place where reward will carry the fingerprint of God's own faithfulness, just as it did for Abraham. And now you stand in that same sacred tension, where your hands feel empty but your spirit is being filled with something eternal. Do not rush this moment or try to escape it, because what God is forming in you here will sustain what he is preparing ahead of you. The mountain is not your ending, it is your revealing. Stay steady, stay surrendered, and stay open, because just like Abraham, you are closer than you think to seeing God provide in a way that silences every doubt and restores every place that obedience seemed to take from you. That is the mystery you are living in right now. What felt like loss was not loss in the way you first understood it. What felt like the stripping away of something precious was, in the courts of heaven, the recording of your victory. This is where the natural mind and the spiritual reality often appear to disagree. The natural mind sees what left your hand. Heaven sees what remained in your heart. The natural mind counts what was surrendered. Heaven counts the trust that made the surrender possible. And when God looks at that trust, He does not call it failure. He calls it faith. He calls it obedience. He calls it the kind of response that marks a person for greater weight, greater maturity, and greater stewardship in the seasons ahead. That is why Abraham's journey does not end with the pain of the altar. It opens into revelation after the altar. He went up the mountain carrying what looked like unbearable loss. Yet he came down the mountain carrying a deeper knowledge of God than he had before. He did not merely survive a hard test. He encountered the character of the one who tested him. He discovered that the God who asks for trust is also the God who provides what trust requires. He learned that obedience does not destroy promise. Obedience purifies your relationship to the promise so that it no longer owns you. And when a promise no longer owns you, you are finally ready to carry it without fear. This is why your own season cannot be judged only by what it cost you. You have to judge it by what it produced in you. Before this, you may have still believed that safety came from holding tightly, from arranging outcomes, from making sure nothing valuable ever slipped beyond your control. But obedience has been teaching you another language. It has been teaching you that safety is not found in possession. Safety is found in surrender. Peace is not found in forcing. Peace is found in trusting. Strength is not found in keeping every door open. Strength is found in closing the wrong doors without knowing how the right ones will appear. That is not a small transformation. That is spiritual promotion. Many people think promotion only means increase they can point to, recognition others can see, or doors that swing open in public. But heaven often begins promotion in secret. It starts with inner enlargement. It starts with the death of panic. It starts with the breaking of false dependencies. It starts when your soul no longer falls apart every time God asks you to wait, release, or trust beyond explanation. That is promotion too. In fact, that kind of inner promotion is what makes every outward blessing safe. Without it, the gift becomes a burden. Without it, the open door becomes another form of bondage. Without it, the answer to prayer can quietly become the source of your next confusion. So when God strengthens you through costly obedience, He is not delaying your elevation. He is establishing the foundation for it. This is the part many people miss when they look at Abraham. They remember the test, but they do not always stop long enough to feel the transformation. The man who walked up that mountain was not the same man who walked down. Something had settled in him. Something had become unshakable. He had seen that God's faithfulness was not theoretical. It was not a beautiful idea to hold during easy days. It was real enough to meet him at the point of surrender. Real enough to interrupt the moment of deepest cost. Real enough to provide what he himself could not create. That changes a person. Once you have met God there, in that place where obedience seemed as though it would break you, but instead revealed him, you do not come back the same. That is where you are being led. You are being moved from borrowed confidence into lived confidence. You are being moved from repeating what you have heard about God into knowing what He has done in your own life. And there is a difference between those two things. One comforts you for a moment. The other anchors you for years. This is why the pain was not pointless. It was painful. Yes, it was stretching. Yes, it was deeply personal. Yes, but it was not pointless. It was the place where your faith stopped being only language and started becoming substance. Listen to this truth and let it settle deeply inside you. And Abraham called the name of that place, the Lord will provide. Genesis chapter 22, verse 14. That verse was not born out of theory. It was born out of tested obedience. It was born out of the moment when surrender met provision. And that is exactly why it carries such power for you now. The place where you feared loss may become the very place where you name God differently because you have seen Him differently. The place that looked like ending may become the place of revelation. The place that felt empty may become the place where you finally understand that heaven was never absent from your struggle. So when the enemy tries to whisper that you lost too much, answer with truth. You lost nothing that can overrule the faithfulness of God. You lost nothing that can cancel what heaven has written over your life. You lost nothing that obedience cannot place back into divine order. Even when something does not return in the same form, God still knows how to reward what was released for His sake. He knows how to return peace where confusion once lived. He knows how to return dignity where grief once sat heavily on your chest. He knows how to return holy expectation where disappointment tried to train your heart to fear hope itself. And more than that, He knows how to turn your obedience into a witness. One day you will speak from a place you could not have reached any other way. One day your voice will carry the weight of someone who has actually walked the mountain road and seen God provide there. One day your peace will confuse people who only understand peace when everything goes according to plan. Because your peace will come from something deeper. It will come from knowing that even when the path made no sense, even when the cost felt severe, even when the loss looked real, God was not taking victory away from you. He was writing it into your life in a form that could never be stolen. At the beginning of this part, let this be said with clarity and calm. There is a resource called the Genius Wave, also referred to by some as Genius Song, described as a short audio practice built around brainwave entrainment and designed to help with problems many people quietly carry every day, such as mental fog, poor focus, stress, scattered thinking, low creative flow, difficulty remembering things, and the heavy feeling of knowing you have more potential than you are currently able to access. It is presented as a simple 7-minute daily audio experience that may support clearer thinking, deeper calm, stronger concentration, better creative momentum, and a more refreshed mental state. If that kind of support feels relevant to where you are right now, you can look for the official information in the description or the pinned comment and read it for yourself carefully. Be cautious with imitations. Copied pages or fake versions come on, and only use the official source if you decide to explore it. Now, with that said, return with me to the deeper movement already unfolding in your spirit. Because the real shift happening in your life is even greater than a change in mood, focus, or mental energy. What God is doing in this hour is not random relief. It is divine timing beginning to move in your favor after a season when everything seemed to stand still. And that kind of movement often feels almost unbelievable when it first begins. Because you have spent so long learning how to survive delay that progress can feel unfamiliar at first. You may even find yourself hesitating in front of answered prayer because disappointment trained you to expect another closed door. But this is where you must learn a new posture. You must stop bowing to the memory of delay when heaven is telling you that movement has already begun. There are seasons when obedience feels like standing still while everyone else moves ahead. You watch others step into doors, relationships, opportunities, and visible blessings while you are left holding only a quiet instruction from God and a heart that has had to keep trusting without constant confirmation. That kind of waiting can wear on the soul. It can make time feel heavy. It can make your own story seem slower, smaller, and less favored than it really is. But delay is not always denial. Sometimes delay is the chamber where motives are purified. Vision is sharpened, and the heart is made ready for what it once would have mishandled. You are not being sidelined. You are being stabilized. That is why this next shift matters so much. When divine timing begins to turn, it does not merely bring things to you. It reveals why they had to arrive when they do. What comes too early can be mishandled. What comes too late can be mourned. But what comes in God's timing carries a different weight. It fits, it settles, it strengthens instead of scattering you. This is the kind of timing now being prepared around your obedience. The same God who watched you choose the narrow path in private is also the God who knows the exact hour to let visible fruit emerge from invisible faithfulness. Nothing about that hour is accidental. Nothing about that hour is careless. It is measured with wisdom you could not have created for yourself. And when movement begins, it will not always announce itself with thunder. Sometimes it starts quietly. A burden lifts. A thought becomes clearer. A door that resisted you begins to open without strain. A conversation shifts. An answer appears. A connection forms. A heaviness breaks. What once felt impossible becomes strangely peaceful. That is often how divine timing first speaks. Not always through spectacle, but through alignment. Things that were once jammed begin to move because the hand of God is no longer holding them back. This is important to understand. Some doors did not open because mercy was protecting you from entering too soon. Some situations did not develop because wisdom was guarding you from what looked good but was not God. Some answers did not arrive because your soul needed to become able to carry them in peace rather than panic. So when the shift comes, do not greet it with suspicion alone. Greet it with discernment, yes, but also with gratitude. You have prayed for change. You have cried for clarity. You have asked God to remember your obedience and breathe on what felt delayed. Now you must also be willing to recognize the first signs of movement when they appear. Too many people become so used to survival that they almost resist restoration. They know how to brace. They know how to expect disappointment. They know how to read silence, but they struggle to receive. Do not let that be your story. Let your heart become teachable again in the presence of blessing. This is one of the hidden rewards of obedience. Obedience changes not only what comes to you, but how you receive it. Because you have been stretched. You are now more careful, more prayerful, more grounded, and more able to recognize the difference between pressure and peace. Earlier in life, you may have called every open door a blessing. Now you know better. Now you listen for God's weight in a thing. Now you pay attention to what disturbs your spirit and what steadies it. Now you understand that not every invitation is an assignment and not every opportunity is an answer. That wisdom is part of the reward. It means when the true opening arrives, you will not have to force yourself into it. There will be a rightness to it. There will be a steadiness to it. There will be a witness in your spirit that says this is not striving. This is timing. And timing has its own beauty. It heals the insult of earlier seasons without needing to rewrite them. It does not erase the tears, but it redeems them. It does not pretend the waiting was easy, but it proves the waiting was not empty. One move from God can gather years of confusion into a single moment of understanding. One opening from heaven can explain why 10 others had to remain shut. One breath of divine favor can restore confidence that was worn thin by repeated delay. This is why you cannot abandon hope now. You are too close to the turn. You are too near the moment where what looked still begins to move with holy precision. So remain steady. Do not rush ahead of God, but do not hide from what He is opening either. Keep your spirit soft. Keep your hearing clear. Keep your heart free from bitterness, because bitterness can make even answered prayer feel tasteless. You have not come this far to enter your next season with yesterday's fear sitting on the throne of your inner life. Let God cleanse that too. Let Him prepare you not only for the blessing, but for the receiving of it. Because the delay is breaking, the timing is shifting, and what once seemed locked is beginning to answer to the hand of God. What God is preparing for you is not a small apology from life. It is not a thin replacement for what you released. It is not a delayed consolation prize handed to you after years of pressure. The reward attached to your obedience carries a deeper design than that. God is not merely filling empty space. He is multiplying meaning. He is multiplying strength. He is multiplying wisdom. He is multiplying fruit in places where pain once tried to convince you that nothing good could grow again. This is why you must stop imagining your future only through the size of what you lost. The God who leads through obedience does not restore by measuring with human limitation. He restores according to His wisdom, His purpose, and His power to bring increase out of surrender. Many people think reward only counts if it arrives in the exact shape of the thing they had to let go. But God's multiplication is often far more intelligent than your first request. Sometimes He does not return a thing in its former form because He has something better suited to who you have become. You asked for relief, and He formed discernment. You asked for rescue, and He built stability. You asked for one open door, and He prepared an entirely different path with less confusion and more peace. You asked to keep something you loved, and He answered by protecting your future from the hidden cost that thing would have carried. At first, that can feel difficult to celebrate, because the heart naturally grieves what it can name. But as time passes, revelation comes. You begin to see that God was not subtracting from your life. He was preventing a deeper loss and making room for a greater kind of gain. This is the season where that truth must become personal for you. You are not only the person who obeyed, you are becoming the person who can recognize multiplication when it arrives. And multiplication does not always begin with abundance you can count. Sometimes it begins with peace that no longer leaks away at every disappointment. Sometimes it begins with clarity that saves you years of wandering. Sometimes it begins with spiritual authority, with a steadier mind, with cleaner desires, with a heart less vulnerable to manipulation and false urgency. That is increase too. In fact, those forms of increase are often what make outward blessings sustainable. Without them, more would only mean more pressure, more confusion, more chances to repeat old mistakes. But with them, what comes next can rest on firmer ground. Think about what obedience has already produced in you. You hear differently now. You pause more quickly before stepping into what once would have swept you away. You are less impressed by appearances, less seduced by speed, less eager to call something good simply because it arrives wrapped in opportunity. You have learned to ask deeper questions, Goma. You have learned that peace matters. You have learned that God's no is not cruelty, then it is guidance. All of that is multiplication already working inside you. You are not the same person who first entered the test. Your spirit carries more weight now. Your decisions carry more sobriety. Your heart has been refined by the fire it never would have chosen. But the fire has still done holy work, and there is more. God's multiplication reaches beyond the inner life and into the places where you have been waiting for visible confirmation. Doors begin to open with less strain. Favor appears where you expected resistance. Connections arrive that feel aligned rather than forced. Resources meet you at the point of need. The right opportunities carry peace instead of panic. Your energy is no longer consumed by trying to make the wrong thing work. That alone creates room for increase. What obedience protected, God now knows how to bless. What surrender purified, God now knows how to entrust with more. This is why you cannot afford to stay locked in the language of loss. The chapter has shifted. Heaven is not speaking subtraction over your life. Heaven is speaking multiplication through alignment. Hold tightly to this truth from Scripture. Now to Him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us. Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20. That verse is not empty encouragement. It is a reminder that God's scale is not bound to your wounded expectations. When you have gone through disappointment, you can unconsciously shrink your prayers so your heart feels safer. You start hoping small because hoping big once hurt too much. But God is not limited by the size of your present imagination. He is able to do more, and not only more in amount, but more in depth, more in wisdom, more in fitness for your calling, more in ways that carry peace instead of hidden sorrow. So let your heart open again, not in recklessness, but in faith. Let yourself believe that reward can be greater than replacement. Let yourself believe that what God builds after obedience can carry more beauty than what you first begged Him to preserve. Let yourself believe that your surrender has not put you behind. It has positioned you for something cleaner, stronger, and more enduring. This is not fantasy. This is the nature of divine redemption. God knows how to take what looked barren and turn it fruitful. He knows how to take what looked delayed and turn it timely. He knows how to take what felt broken and turn it into testimony. Right here, make this your agreement in the comments. God multiplied it. That short confession matters because your mouth must stop partnering with defeat. There is power in naming what heaven is doing before all of it is visible. Not pretending, not forcing, but agreeing. Agreeing that obedience was not the burial of your future. Agreeing that God is not stingy with those who trust Him. Agreeing that your story will not end at the altar of sacrifice, but will continue into the fields of increase that only God can open. So stand in expectation now. Not anxious expectation, but anchored expectation. The kind that knows God does not waste surrendered things. The kind that knows heaven can bring more out of one act of obedience than years of striving could ever produce. The kind that no longer begs from fear, but waits with confidence. Because the reward is not only coming, it is multiplying, and when it arrives, you will know it carries the signature of the God who saw every hidden yes and chose to answer it with more than enough. Now you begin to see that obedience did not make you smaller. It revealed who you really are. It stripped away the fear that once made you cling too tightly. It exposed the false voices that tried to tell you that compromise was wisdom and delay was rejection. It taught you that your identity is not built on what you keep, what you prove, or what people give you permission to become. Your identity is built on the God who called you, formed you, corrected you, and carried you through every place where lesser things fell away. This is why you cannot return to the smaller version of yourself anymore. That version was ruled by urgency, by emotional pressure, by the need for quick relief, by the temptation to force open what heaven had not opened. But now something stronger lives in you. Now something steadier speaks in you. Now your spirit knows what your flesh once resisted. Obedience has crowned you with a different kind of strength. You are not crowned by applause. You are not crowned by public recognition. You are not crowned because every person finally understands your journey. You are crowned by what God built in secret while you stayed faithful in the fire. You are crowned by the peace that remained after the shaking. You are crowned by the discernment that grew sharper after disappointment. You are crowned by the humility that came from learning that God's plan is wiser than your preferred timing. This is the identity you are stepping into now, not a fragile identity that depends on everything going right, but a rooted identity that remains steady because it is anchored in the character of God. And that matters deeply for the next season, because what is ahead of you will require more than desire. It will require maturity. It will require a heart that can carry blessing without idolizing it. It will require strength that does not collapse under responsibility. It will require clarity that can tell the difference between an assignment and a distraction. You have been prepared for that. Every act of obedience has been shaping your inner life for the weight of what is coming. Every closed door you respected has trained your spirit. Every no you accepted has refined your hearing. Every quiet surrender has made room for greater authority. You are not just surviving your story, that you are being formed by it. So step forward now without shrinking back into old fear. Step forward without apologizing for the strength God has built in you. Step forward without begging yesterday's losses to define tomorrow's possibilities. You have already mourned enough. You have already doubted enough. You have already spent enough nights wondering whether your obedience would ever speak back to you in the language of reward. It is speaking now. It is speaking through peace. It is speaking through clarity. It is speaking through timing. It is speaking through the quiet confidence rising in your spirit as you realize that God did not bring you this far to leave you uncertain about who you are. And right here, let prayer rise naturally from where you stand. Father, thank you for every moment when you kept me from what would have harmed me, even when I did not understand your ways. Thank you for the grace to obey when obedience was painful, and when the cost felt too heavy to carry with ease. Thank you for seeing every hidden yes, every private surrender, every tear that followed the right decision. Strengthen your child now. Heal every place where delay created weariness. Restore every place where disappointment tried to weaken trust. Remove the fear of moving forward. Wash away the memory of old confusion. Establish peace where striving once lived. Let your wisdom govern every next step. Let your favor rest upon what you have appointed. Let your presence be greater than every pressure. And let the one hearing these words know, deeply and without doubt, that obedience has not led them into loss, but into a future held securely in your hands. In Jesus' name, amen. Receive that prayer as more than comfort. Receive it as alignment. You are not leaving this journey as the same person who entered it. You are leaving with a steadier gaze, a cleaner heart, and a deeper understanding that your life belongs to God in a way that no test could erase. That is why you must carry yourself differently now. Not arrogantly, not loudly, but with holy confidence, with quiet authority, with the settled assurance that when God asks for trust, He also supplies what trust will need. When God leads through surrender, He also knows how to reward it. When God refines a life, He does not do it to diminish that life. He does it to reveal its true strength. And as this message comes to its close, let it keep moving beyond you. Like this message, if it has strengthened your heart, share it with someone who needs courage to obey God without fearing the cost. Subscribe if this kind of word helps keep your spirit anchored in truth. And if you feel led to support this work, there is a place to donate in the description so messages like this can continue reaching those who are standing in their own hour of costly obedience. Do not forget what God has shown you here. Do not let the noise of ordinary life steal the clarity of this moment. Return to it when doubt tries to rise again. Return to it when the wait feels long. Return to it when old voices try to convince you that surrender was a mistake. It was not a mistake. It was a marking. It was a separating. It was a holy moment in which heaven saw that you trusted God more than the thing in front of you. And that kind of trust does not disappear into silence forever. It becomes fruit. It becomes witness. It becomes a crown of lived faith that no one can take from you. So lift your head. Breathe again. Walk on. You are not behind, you are not forgotten. You are not empty-handed in the ways that matter most. You are being led, rewarded, and established. The version of you that emerges from obedience is stronger than the version that entered the test. And that is why your future will not be built on fear. It will be built on the faithfulness of God, the wisdom of surrender, and the quiet power of a life that chose to obey. The path ahead may still require patience, but it no longer needs your panic. You have seen enough now to know that God is present in the hidden place, faithful in the waiting place, and powerful in the moment when everything finally turns. Let this settle in your spirit. What you released in obedience was never beyond His reach. What you feared was ending was often the beginning of something cleaner, deeper, and more aligned with who you were created to become. So keep your heart soft, keep your hearing clear, and keep your hope alive. There is no wasted surrender in the hands of God. There is no hidden act of trust that heaven forgets. There is no lonely yes that fails to bear fruit in its appointed time. You are still being led. You are still being formed. You are still being loved through every stage of this unfolding journey. And when the full reward becomes visible, you will know it was not luck, not chance, and not human effort alone. It was God honoring the obedience that you chose when only heaven seemed to understand.